Perfect then. So yes, thank you very much for being here. Luisito is going to tell us a great summary of the movie. So just like an introduction. So here are uh, what Luisito is going to tell us.
Just tell me if we
Please,
can see the page after
one
on the
second.
live. It would
That's
be
right.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can see it.
amazing.
Yeah,
And we have it. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, sure. We have it. Perfect then.
perfect. So yeah, let's say it very fast. The plot summary or the substance, uh, for those who haven't watched it, delves into extreme lengths of people who, I'm sorry, into the extreme lengths people go to maintain youth and beauty in a society obsessed with physical perfection. The film centers on a revolutionary new substance that allows users to create a younger, better version of ourselves. So, so yeah, as we can see uh, in this movie, delves into a person who is getting older, right? She was Elizabeth Sparkle was an fitness icon, and she starts getting old. So she's, I mean, her boss fires her because she's too old. She's like 50 years old, and nobody wants to see her anymore, right? So it was like for her, she's very frustrating. When she goes to the doctor after an accident, she gets, I mean, one of the doctors, a young, handsome guy, says that she's a good, like a good, what was the name? Like a candidate, right, for an experiment. So he shares with her a USB that contains an advertising of a substance that it makes you have a new version of yourself, right? So she tries it, and she immediately like collated into two versions of herself. And the second version was younger and beautiful again. So yeah, that's the basic idea. But the problem was that the both versions have to live the same time, 1 week, no more, no less, to keep a balance, right? But many things then start to happen that we will be discussing here. So let me tell you now a very mini bio of the director. Her name is Coralie Fougeot. We don't know how to pronounce it because it's in French. She is a French filmmaker, director, and screenwriter known for her distinctive and visceral approach to genre filmmaking. She gained significant attention with her 2017 debut feature. Revenge was her first movie, a revenge thriller that subverted genre tropes with its stylish direction and unflinching violence. Uh, well, we haven't watched this movie. Probably we can discuss it later. But it established as a bold and uncompromising voice in contemporary cinema. With the substance she confirms her talent to create very disturbing and visually impacting movies. And yes, we could see, right? It's something that we might also be discussing the different images. The pictures in the movie are very freaking. So according to this mini bio, her work is characterized by its visually striking aesthetic, intense performances, and a willingness to explore dark and provocative themes. She's recognized for her ability to blend genre elements with social commentary, creating films that are both entertaining and thought-provoking. She's becoming a very important director in the body horror genre. So yeah, that's the introduction for this movie.
Great.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I really like it. Let me turn it off.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. We're back. Just the three. Okay.
yeah, perfect then. So, uh, I want to start because this is my third or fourth time that I see this
Okay.
movie.
Hmm.
I really like it, um, and and I think it's like really deep, but at the same time, it's a way to understand the whole message of the movie. Is like a really soft way to understand it, to get into it.
Hmm.
And I want to start with the value of the youth, which is for me like the first thing that we can see here in the
Mhm.
movie, and how this value, which is a beauty just by itself. I mean, if you are young, it's like you are in a better position than someone who's old. Not just in the attractive way, is your sex appeal, or if you are trying to get related to others. I'm not really sure how deep is this thing of the youth, but for me, it's something important. Uh, yeah, to notice. And
Mhm.
okay, so how this thing about the age affect on, um, uh, and the way how they relate to the society as a product, as how much, I mean, their value are measured by how much we can consume them.
Mm.
So for me, it's like the first topic that I want to share with you. So do you have any thoughts about it?
But do you view it like you like the body per se, like, or or the whole industry
There are
behind
any
it?
other kind of youth?
I don't
That's
know,
interesting.
the perception of it, like not just the body, but the value of that perception. I remember in almost at the end of the movie, like when the
Mhm.
ear is like falling, and you have all these investors and you see all this machinery, and it's strange because I don't know. It comes first, like the machinery or this perception from the body. Like I don't know which one's first. And I think it's interesting that our psyche has become so attached to this kind of youth commodity in a way. Let me just like process the maybe the thought a little bit, but uh, it's
No
like
worries.
commodity in a way, but it's also like, is society pushing that idea, or is the psyche per se? Or I think I think I see it now. Like the problem is that we don't
Mhm.
have like an like in the past, like old age and wise and all, like it's just expendable now. And I think it's, I don't know, there's something about aging that we could explore a lot with this movie. But let me just get it straight a little bit. But Luis, what do you think about this idea of the youth and the body and yeah.
Well, as I saw it, it's like of course they tell us that the young people are have more chances, but not only young people, right? Specifically women. So I think that it also focuses on women itself, like as products, and we men as consumers, right? We could see the old men with their cigarettes and their tobaccos and just watching her, and everybody started to be nice at her, and I mean, they were the consumers. So I think that they explore the idea of the body, but specifically women's body, right? It's like the center, like we see it as a not only as a machine but as a product. So I think that for me that was the most striking thing, and eventually, well, I want to say that part of the body because I think it's as you mentioned, it's an important part, but I didn't think of the body as a machine, but as a product. But
More
yeah,
like
I will
a,
tell you.
yeah, like a cog in the machine that you put. Yeah, okay, interesting. Hmm.
Okay, yeah, I got it. What you said, Leo, about getting old and how our perception as society uh, has changed
Yeah.
through the years, through yeah, the different changes that we have experienced. Because you're right. I mean, getting old, and of course, I want to talk about this most to the end
Hmm.
uh, of the session
The
today.
session. Yeah, sure.
But yeah, it's something there. It's something not too nice
Yeah.
uh, about getting old, and I'm not sure why is that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I want to explore it with you.
Yeah, I don't know. It just popped into my mind like that. Maybe there's something we could explore, but
Yeah,
we should
absolutely,
just
absolutely.
go through other topics first. What do you think, Luis? Like your like, what's the thing that struck you the most of this film, or what aspect of it, like the horror, the whole critic of this capitalist society? What for me, it's like the visual style, like not even the story and
Okay.
all, just the editing and the composition of images. I think it's pretty good, and it showcases like people went to see this film. Like it was like a not only a spectacle. It's like you need to see it on the film, and you don't get this too often now. Like only when it's like Endgame or that kind of films, but like some kind of art house film that gets people attracted to it. It's pretty weird. So I think there's something in this style of film that really resonated with audiences and critics, and yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, Luisito.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think the images, I mean, honestly, when I was making my notes, when I think about the movie, I didn't think a lot about the images, but I think it's a very, I mean, important part, right? How they relate, for example, the chicken, the images with the chicken with the old woman, right? So there is, I just said something I didn't really think much about it because I think that the substance, for example, something. Let me just read you the definition of substance. I found something interesting.
Yeah.
According to Google Dictionary, which is based on Oxford languages, it, substance has two main definitions. The first one is body. No, sorry. It's a particular kind of matter with uniform properties, right? Any matter that we can think of with different properties as a substance. But the second definition is the real physical matter of which a person or thing consists and which has a tangible, solid presence.
Mm.
So, so we see. I mean, my question here is, what's our substance? I mean, I think that the substance could be understood as the body because people were more focusing on the physical appearance, right? In the movie, that was like the most important thing,
Mhm.
like the focus of the society on seeing us as products and as the disposable products. We focus more as in the image of how old we are, as if we were, yeah, food or any consuming thing, right? And as we get old, it's like if we expired or something like that.
Mm.
So, so I wanted to ask you in your in your thoughts, how do you understand the substance? What is our substance or our essence? Are we body? Are we mind, spirit? What are we?
I'm not really sure if I have the answer. I'm, it's a little bit complicated. I'm not sure if I'm capable of explaining in English.
Yeah.
Um, as an atheist person, I don't believe in the soul, uh, and in any way. So I'm not really sure if we have. Okay, for me, this stuff is like going to a fundamental. Uh, I mean, if you extend the idea to the maximum consequences of it,
Mhm.
at the end you will reach a point where you need a fundamental thing to uh, push the wheel for the first time. Every emotion needs to be created by something else. Any Yeah, anything is created by something before it. So if we accept the idea of having a soul or a substance which is like the essence of the things, in this case us as human beings, uh, at the end you will reach a point where you need something or someone or whatever uh, that creates everything. So for me, it's a little bit complicated about. Um, Let me think about this. For sure, we can find a film. with this topic, and we can discuss it in Spanish, so I can explain myself better. But
Okay.
it's a great idea. I really like it.
But
Um,
Luis, I was wondering, do you are referencing like the substance like an internal kind of thing, or what? In what kind of
yeah, that's
way?
right. No, I get it in that way. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that it's like I mean, I think that maybe that's why that is the title of the film, right? I mean, to wonder, I mean, what are we? What is our substance? Because the etymology says that in the Middle English, it was that word denoted the essential nature of something. So it's not necessarily something physical, right? But
Okay.
in the film, I think that at first people would think that is I mean, they value the body as the most important thing. But I was wondering because in the movie they didn't suggest that there is a soul, but they do focus on like consciousness
Okay.
because it depended. I mean, the body wasn't here. I mean, both
Oh, true,
the both
true.
versions of self were only one,
Yeah.
but it depended on who was aware in that moment, right? So awareness was like the substance, in my opinion, not necessarily a soul. They didn't suggest there was a soul, but there is an awareness that changed, that was able to change from one body to the other. So for me, that was interesting. I think, in my opinion, that our substance is formed by body, of course, but especially awareness. I don't know if there's a soul. I want to believe that there is, but of course we don't. We cannot prove it in this moment. So
Yeah.
I will focus on the second one, awareness as the most important part of our substance.
Okay. No,
What
that's
do you
really
think?
interesting that you delve that deep. For me, like the substance was just this vessel to project like addiction and our ways of just consuming one thing again and again. But that you take it to this whole level of soul and mind, it's pretty interesting. Which reminds me, I'm a good friend of mine borrowed me this book. It's called Ethics by Spinoza, and it's such an schizophrenic, weird thing, but it's amazing, and it goes delving, and it explains kind of God, what it's God, and why human beings relate to this idea of the soul. And it does it in a really structured way, but mathematically, and it's like a mandala. Like you're not reading; it's like a mandala of experiences. And to me, the substance is, I don't know, perception or consciousness in this way. But I would. It would be interesting that the movie really went deep in that regard. That because we have these two girls like Demi Moore and we have Margaret Qualley, but we never go deep within into their psyche. So we don't have the like information to tell she has a soul or she doesn't. And it's interesting that. But it wasn't the point of the movie. Like it goes into the body horror, and it does it in a great way. But if we were discussing the soul, that would take us like a whole a whole life. Like, and I also need to finish the book to give a proper explanation, because I mean, I get some things but not everything, and it's pretty good. I recommend it. It's called Ethics. But
Ethics.
yeah,
Ethics
I
by
don't know.
Spinoza, you said.
By Spinoza, yeah, and he tells it doesn't have to go to the movie, but he tells there is a God, and that God, it's just so magnificent that like we're just a byproduct of it, and we're just a specific part of it, and it's really well thought in a way. But yeah, look, it's a pretty old, like 500 years old or 400, but it's pretty relevant. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, sounds really good.
yeah, it's really
I
good.
I really like it, that idea. But as you were saying, I got the idea of the substance as the value, as the essential value, as like in another path. Because of course, I totally agree what you said.
Hmm.
It's a valid way to see it. But I was thinking that in the movie they touch this topic in a different way. They ask us, um, not directly, obviously,
Hmm.
but they ask us of where this essential value is, uh, and how uh, we are and how do we live that value. I'm thinking about Demi Moore getting just older and older through the days, and just being there in the apartment waiting to to recharge the fluid every 7 days.
Mhm.
Um, like she just lost the purpose of their life, of her life. She was just waiting and waiting, and it's something that the other old man, the guy who was this doctor, tell her, like, hey, it's getting complicated to know if you are still valuable, or I mean, if you are worthy enough of something, of whatever, right? So I was thinking, just we know that this is science fiction, but we are not too far away of it. It's really easy to lose our paths, uh, just focusing our lives in the work, for example. If you spend your whole life in an office, which is not bad, I mean, but at the end of the day, you don't have anything else, any other hobby, any other passion, any other interest in whatever. Uh, Once you finish your whole life, you are going to be like Demi Moore there in there without any other purpose, just disconnected of the others and alone. I mean, you need to get alive out of your job, out of everything else. You need to be someone. So for me, this idea of the substance as the essential value is not about a soul or something. It's more about how uh, what do we do with our lives, and
Mm.
if this essential thing of what am I is related to the others, and if I do something with the others, you know. So I'm seeing it in that way.
Okay. But I think it's interesting. Like the other time I went to see with Mariano a movie called Mickey 17. And in this movie, it's a sort of mirror of the substance. I see it as people just want to get like a shareholder portion of the pie of the money of the world. And so what else can we do as a society? Like all our ways revolve around this machinery and getting money and all, and it doesn't let much space else for like going around with people. And even if you go with people, it's for spending more money or doing other things. Like it's really hard to get out of this idea. But I don't know. Like I had some of my notes here, and it's just materialistic society, and the same thing that we talked last time, like the atomization of the individual and the collective way of seeing things. And if Demi Moore is isolated in this her apartment, and then if she went outside, it's like people is just narrow. Like there's not much space to talk about anything at all. It's just like the for profit, and so it's I don't know. There's a strange thing in our society, I think. And the note I have here is that horror films or sci-fi can be like a pulsation if there's like an illness in society. And so the substance is like a sort of thing that our psyche pops, like there's an illness in our way of living. And I think people want that catharsis. Like I think that's why the substance is relevant, like it's a cathartic experience. But I don't know. There's something there that needs to be changed, because it otherwise will be more and more and more individual and more like machines. I don't know. It's pretty weird, but it's interesting that movies can explore this kind of pulsations that our mind or our world manifests. It's I don't know. It's pretty interesting. what you think, Luis, about this idea that Mariano kind of uh, suggested?
Yeah. I totally agree. Honestly, I hadn't seen the substance as the that source of addiction, but it makes completely sense because I mean, I think the second main theme, or probably was the only substance as you said, is like treated as in a consumerist way, right? Like the only or the most important part of this system is, as you mentioned, as seeing ourselves as products just to produce and consume. That's what we are in this system. So the attractiveness, for example, which is another like a subtopic I could see there,
Mm.
is related to age in the case, especially for women, right? I think that it suggests that women are the ones that should worry more about I mean, the most about their age, and men should worry more about power and money, basically, right? In this like toxic male system we are living in. So, so yes, as I mentioned before, I think that they also suggest that women are seen as the objects and males consumers. So I totally agree with you. They are. It's pretty similar to the previous movies we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
We already mentioned like what's the monster. I mean, we can also see this monster with the main character turning very like I mean mutating and having this strange look. But it's like, as you mentioned, there is something weird behind the advertising and behind the happy smiles and these phrases of the pretty girls should always smile, right? And this idea of everything is fine, uh, pink color and everything is excellent. Just keep working and keep making more money, keep consuming. We know that behind it doesn't look that good, right? There's something sick. There's something toxic in the society, and I think that it's exactly what they are trying to tell us in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And how these decisions of how who has this value are on the industry. I mean, it's example, but obviously we can apply this idea on other places in life.
Yeah.
So, who's the one who choose this value are men who do not match these standards of beauty, of course, but they have, as you said, Luisito, power and money. Um, I want to go further in this idea. And okay, if we agree that this society with the capitalism in the middle of consuming bodies, just looking for something else to consume, even if it's another people. I mean, we are in the same idea, more or less. So, how this affects ourselves? I want to talk about this scene where Demi Moore was trying to hang out with this guy. I don't remember her friend from the high school.
Hmm.
I don't remember the name, but she has this crisis of body dysmorphia, which is really well done. This scene, and I mean, I want to talk about this body dysmorphia because it's made by us. I mean, in our heads. I'm not sure if you ever have in kind of this body dysmorphia. I'm not really sure if I have it. I don't think so, but it exists, and of course, it's created in our minds. But it's not like uh, just it do not pop up out of nothing. It's created by the expectations that the other have. I mean, the expectations are too heavy on us that change our way that the way that we see ourselves,
Mm.
and this is not necessarily a choice. I mean, we are affected by our context. Demi Moore in that scene was beautiful. I mean, she in the movie has like 50 years old, but in the real life she has 60, 10 more. So she's really, really beautiful. I mean, for their age, I mean, she has a better body than I. So how this context affects us, and is there any way to change it? Can we get in any way different? I mean, can we avoid this problem?
That's pretty interesting that you said like the expectation is on the other side, and so that creates like a sort of repression on the person, and that repression manifests as the dysmorphia. Because if there wasn't like that expectation, you could just like explore, that kind of part of yourself. But because there's a construct of ideas of society, you need to like repress it, and that creates like this sort of nightmarish imagery that we see in the film. And that's interesting. So it's like the repression, but it's also the expectation. And what goes up in the middle, it's like just this impulse of experience. And I think that's we could see that this in all parts of our life. Like, I don't know, we could see the same thing in like a working space, and you have these codes, and but when you go outside, it's like you need to go drinking, or you need to go doing something like really uh, how we put it, like physical or emotional, because you are so repressed. And I think that's, I mean, in a way, like Freud said it in the culture, like this malestar of culture or something like that. And it's the same idea of repression and expectation, and this monster that comes from society or from ourselves that we cannot contend anymore. I don't know. It's a good movie. Interesting point that we have
This,
this. Yeah.
sorry, Luisito, sorry. This thing only works, is a question, only
Uh-huh.
works if you make these expectations yours. I mean, if I grab these expectations as mine, so I turn around and I see a whole
Mm.
society waiting for me to get out, to push me out, and I have the same expectations to be this big star. And I mean, this uh, game of yeah, of asking for something that you don't have anymore, which is you.
Yeah.
I mean, it only works if you make these expectations yours.
I mean, it could
That's it.
be because you're looking for like a sort of profit, and for you to receive this profit, you need to make amends within the system or within yourself in order to achieve them. And so I think otherwise you could just say, well, I'll explore myself in this regard, but you will not be inside that machinery. So I think there's something there. But I think it's
Okay.
the key thing. It's like the profit, or if you want like a share of all there is in there. I view it like that. Yeah.
It's tricky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And also, it's like I think that it's like stereotypes, right? That we are expected. I mean, we are supposed to do something because society pushes us to. I mean, they put a lot of pressure on of what we are supposed to do because we are a man, because we are a woman. So, so here's another word that I think is also interesting here in this movie. Substance is the vanity, right? Because one of the definitions of vanity is excessive pride in or admiration of one's own appearance or achievements, which is basically what I think that it's appealing in the movie, right? It's like everything. The most important thing for this main character was her look and the recognition by the public, right? But
Mm.
also the second definition of vanity is the quality of being worthless or futile. So it's like I
Mm.
say that I mean I don't mean that the like the look someone is not important. I think that it has something to do, but not necessarily. It doesn't. How can I explain it? Like, in my opinion, it is not like the most important thing of your value, right? Of course, if we are talking, for example, about a couple, I mean, I don't think that any of you can say that you don't care about the look at the physical appearance of the person, right? I think that it's like one of the parts that we like, as people say, like love enters through the eyes, something like that, or there is love at first sight. I mean, what I think that we give a lot of importance to attract to a physical appearance in the value of someone as attractive or not. And I think it's not that important. I think there are other things that make us question, right? Like what is really important, what makes us valuable as people, and what we really need from others. Like as you said, like the friend from high school, right? I mean, he could see her for him, she was beautiful. I agree with you. For me, this actress is beautiful, no matter how old they are. But I mean, how old she is. So, but in the movie, it's like with all this pressure from society, we have this as you said, like this constraint or this dysmorphia. I think that overall we are not good enough, or I am not beautiful or young enough to fit and to meet the expectations of society. So I think that to change it is something that I would like to conclude at the end. But it's like I think that we need to deconstruct the idea. We understand these our roles as people and what makes us really valuable, which is not necessarily or not mainly our physical appearance.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I'm thinking it's really hard to empathize with people when you do not have the same issue about this body dysmorphia. I mean, I can try to imagine how does it feel. I really like this scene because it's like uh, really direct in the way of how the people can experience this feeling. But I'm not really sure if I can feel it by my own. I don't have that issue. I'm not sure about you. To try to empathize, to really feel it, to really make you, being part of this bad feeling about the body dysmorphia. Um, uh, what you said about Luisito, that the beauty and our bodies way is not the most important. I totally agree. But also, I can see that for the others are still really important. Um, Probably the three of us, certain point, uh, we were affected in a positive way for our constitution. We are white and tall, so and male. So with that, we are like in an advantage of a bunch of people. So I totally agree that it's not the most important, but it still happens. Um, and all of these push me to the initial thoughts of what is bad about being old.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I had some issues with the idea of getting old and the idea of the people getting old. Um, Not really sure where is the problem. I insist, but I can see it. I had uh, problems of thinking of myself getting old. I mean, we can accept that getting old gives you a bunch of problems, like the physical capabilities are affected. Also, like the cognitive thing is affected, but I'm not sure if that's the real problem. I think that's the first mask we use to justify why we are against getting old.
Mm.
But I'm not really sure how deep is the problem, if there's any problem of getting old. So I want to ask you: do you have the same kind of thoughts, or do you enjoy the idea? I mean, do you think there's something good of getting old?
Well, I was just like thinking that before I tell you like my whole opinion, like there's this movie called Sunset Boulevard, and an old movie like from the 50s, and it's about this old lady that used to be like a good actress, like this type of big actress, like Hollywood style, and she's like senile now. She's like delusional about herself, and uh, she doesn't agrees or recognizes that her time has passed. And so I see this kind of thing as an illusion. Like the whole world promotes like stardom and this idea of being like a musician or being like an actress, like an illusion that you're going to be forever. But I think that the ending of the movie, it's precisely that, is the passing of time. Like you, like it wipes you away. Like even though if you recognize it or you don't, like time passes you away. And I think that's the problem with getting old. We don't recognize our way in this world. Like it has a certain rhythm and a certain purpose. And I think that if we think about old age, yeah, it's an inconvenience because our body is no longer like in a functional way like the best. But you need to recognize that, and you would say, yeah, that's the way things are. But I think because the whole idea and the whole movie is so artificial, because our society is so artificial, we cannot reconcile with that, because that's nature. And I think we're going against nature. And I think that's why we don't have this kind of appeal for old age. I think that's my point. Like, and the ending for me is the thing that gives me this whole idea, because she gets wiped out and another one will rise up and it will be the same cycle. But I think what you can change is your perception when you are in this whole cycle. I think that's the only thing, and you could recognize the steps and everything in your life. To me, that's the way it could be like a better way to integrate old manhood or adulthood in this regard, old age. Yeah.
Okay, I like it. Luisito?
Yeah, totally agree. I think you mentioned at the beginning, Leo, that I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
if I understood well, in ancient times, like with the Greeks and these old societies, all men were considered like something positive, right? Like they were the rulers. I mean, the Socrates or sorry, Platos
Yeah, it's the ones
used to
you
say.
like go to ask things, and you were just you needed like the council maybe from there, or they were the one that pick up where to go. So I think that's gone now. Yeah.
Yeah, in our modern society, it's gone. But something interesting, I just found there is a center. I don't remember exactly the state. It's again an indigenous center. I think that they, I don't know, those people, that people. I mean, they know things that we, as you said,
Sure.
we tend to forget, and we think that we know, but we don't really do. So, for example, there are some centers. I think it's in Puebla or in Veracruz,
Hmm.
where there are some communities, and it's an art center. So there are different workshops for different arts, like painting, music, drawing, several workshops, right? And old men are the ones who rule this place. They, of course, they are masters of any of these arts, and they make sure that the students learn, and they are always like behind them and giving advice and helping them, supporting them. So in these communities, old men are appreciated as something valuable. It doesn't matter that they are not in their best shape and they are not productive as young people. I mean, because productivity in those communities is not the most important thing.
Mm.
And I think that's the problem we have now, that our value is uh, besides beauty and power, it's based on how productive we are. I mean, I felt it every time at work, as you mentioned. I mean, I was paid according to, I mean, we people are usually paid according to how much they produce.
Hmm.
So if you don't produce anymore, you become alone for other people. So I have, we as a society see old people as a problem because we need, there are not enough young people to support all those old men. So yeah, they are seen as a problem nowadays. it's a public issue, but yeah, so something must be solved. It's a real problem for societies to how to maintain and provide for old people because people are getting older with the advancement of technology. And yeah, unfortunately, we are seeing them as a problem instead of seeing the benefits they bring to society. So, so yeah, it's a hard topic. I don't know really how we can solve it, but I think that we can learn something for these communities and probably from the ancient times we can get some clue.
Absolutely, I totally agree in everything that you said. I was thinking the same that getting old, of course, the whole problem of the body, the physical thing,
Yeah.
is also an issue because you lost your capabilities of produce more. I mean, you are not longer useful for the capitalism system. And I was thinking about also how is the best way to getting old. I really like this idea of these workshops. Um, I mean, nothing else to say. It's perfect. We need to find more of these kind of spaces and and yeah, trying to find the best way to getting old. Uh, Totally agree. And I was thinking about what Leo said about this recognition of getting old. I mean, if you know that you are getting old and that you are to be forgotten, uh, it's not the part of the issue that we want. I mean, as we know that we are not immortals, also we want to be remembered, like left something behind us for the others. So, because we are too afraid of transform ourselves in nothing, could be in that way part of the issue of getting that you are like really close to be out. Uh, so I'm not sure. I'm thinking that could be a way. I mean, not a way. That could be a problem
Yeah.
of getting old.
Or like a
I guess
reason,
something.
like
Uh huh.
yeah. No, it's precisely that, I think. But I think that's the ego that we have within ourselves. Like that's the holding on of the whole world. And so I don't know what can you do about that. Like there's so much teachings about ego and all, but I don't think this movie wants to revolve about ego. Like it just shows what's now. Like if you want to go through those explorations of getting rid of all this ego, yeah, you can do that. But if we think that this whole world, like materialistic world, is all there is, well then it gets more difficult because you need to solve things on the external world. But the whole world pushes this agenda, and so it's pretty hard to go like against the grain in this idea. But I don't know, I was thinking about an idea, but because of this I lost it a little bit, so let me just get it again. But what was it?
Yeah,
You,
no
Luis?
worries.
Yeah, you, Luis. What do you think?
I I also yeah, I believe that ego, as you said, is well one of the parts that pushes us back, right? I mean, we can see it also in the triangle of needs of the Maslow, right? Like the last one topic. I mean, the rest of our necessities are met, the most important, right? Ones are like self achievement and
Hmm.
also recognition. So it's a problem we have in our heads. I mean, in our psychology, right? And it's
Mm.
also exploded by social media and all this concept of trying to, I don't know, to become important in society because, as Mariano said, we are too like afraid of being forgotten. Not only as we like, when we die, but also in real life, right? What happens with all the artists, like I don't know, like as you say, fame is very quick. It doesn't last too long. We are living a fast world where people want to consume different things, so it's very hard to live in this with this idea. But there are some parts that are positive, I think. For example, the other day I was, I mean, I will give you an example.
Hmm.
It probably could be related to a solution or to find a solution. But I think that some of the good aspects of this capitalistic world that now I can see is, of course, the I mean, the technology advancement, how we can produce. I mean, we are able to produce even more than we need, right? It's crazy how much we produce. I was watching a documentary. I don't think you have seen it. The name is The True Cost. So it was showing or depicting that how weird it is that the clothes company like H&M and all these brands, they produce more and more and cheap things and they exploit people. I mean, I think that if we change the focus on the what's the purpose of the companies and why we are here in this world, and we give every person value and we see all the not only people, right, all the environment and beings something valuable, something that is worth it um, to maintain and to support. I think that we can use technology and use all this whole system that we have in our benefit. But I think that the main problem is that we are seeing ourselves and people as main mere consumers and resources. So if we change it as the goal to have people healthy, people, environment, animals, everything healthy, we can use everything we have created, uh, artificial intelligence and everything, not to replace us, not to exploit us, right? But to work for us. I mean, to be something really beneficial to make our lives easier. So I just think that it's a change of mindset that we need to that we need.
Absolutely. I agree with all everything that you said. I have my doubts about if this recognition thing is in our heads or is just, I mean, as human beings, as
Hmm.
something natural, or is it part of the Occidental society? I'm not sure because, of course, I am living in actually Occidental society, and of course, I have this thing of being uh, recognized by others. But yeah, I'm not really sure if it's something.
But
Uh,
yeah, don't you think it's like similar to the movie we saw, like The Brutalist? Like this guy that wanted to build this whole construct just to
Absolutely,
show for the family, and but he was like Luis said, like the whole pyramid was completed. He just needed self actualization, and he needed like this memory of himself. And I think you could see that idea that Luis is presenting on The Brutalist, on this guy that has everything covered. And I think if you have everything covered, then you will seek something else because we have creatures of desire. I think we will never be quenched our thirst
yeah.
for desire. And so, if everything else is covered, I think that way of the pyramid will show up in one way or the other. I mean, it could be this grandeur thing like in the Brutalist, but it could be something small, but like you still are searching for that. I think it's really hard to get rid. But that's interesting that it's Occident or the Western world. I think that's part of the issue there. There's something in the Western world that wants to hold on too much to the material.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I mean, I agree in this structure that you are telling us. Of course, uh, that happens, but they share the same kind of society and values and everything that we have. So, uh,
Yeah.
uh, and I insisted, I'm not sure part of us as human beings or is a society thing. I'm not really sure. I don't have the answer, but I just want to tell you. And the other thing that you was saying, Luisito, about use all the technology and the knowledge that we have built in this society to improve the life of the others and of everyone. I totally agree, and also it reminds me to this concept of this sociologist,
Hmm.
uh, Boaventura de Sousa Santos. This guy is Portuguese. The concept is ecology of knowledge, and is more or less what he wants to do is just first to accept that every way to produce knowledge is valid, and we can mix it together so we can not just improve as a society, but solve some historical problems. Uh, it's a little bit complicated, but yeah, it reminds me to it. Um, and absolutely mix this kind of knowledge between care of nature and technology and medical advantages and whatever. It's like something possible. Um, so I want to just have a final topic,
Yeah.
um, at the which is technical topic.
Hmm.
At the end of the movie, we can see that everything is um, really out of place, to
Okay.
say in a way. And this also reminded me Leo a few years ago when we were at high school. Uh, we were making a play, like a theater play.
Yeah, like a theater play. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, we had a that knew how to finish it, and we asked a teacher, and this guy told us, "Hey, if you just want to show like madness, make something crazy. But if you have something else to show, uh, that's like another way to finish the thing, right?" And I
Hmm.
think this is a perfect example. The whole idea could finish the moment Demi Moore tried to kill Margaret.
Yeah.
That could be the end of the movie perfectly. The whole message is there, the whole images, the horror, whatever. That could be the end. But they decide to push it forward. And what happens when you just reach the end? It's just madness.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm not sure if you are, but for me, was not necessary, but I really enjoy it. Like all these crazy things happening and the monster and
Just
the
people
blood
screaming and blood and
machine.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. It's really crazy. Uh, but they do it just because they choose to push the idea to the end.
Hmm. But
So, so yeah. Really,
so you think?
any thoughts?
Yeah, I think a good ending could be. You remember this movie Inception, like Christopher Nolan and the whole like coin flipping and all. Like you could have like an ending, like Demi Moore viewing again, like the needle and substance, and she would do it again or she won't. Like that could be the ending, but they decide to
Yeah, so,
push it.
yes.
Yeah, they decide to push it all this way, and I think if it ended like with the monster and the blood, then yeah, I would be like bored. Like after a while, I was a little bit bored. But that ending that she's like in the star and she gets cleaned up. For me, that's the thing that gives me like the more insight into what this whole thing really was. Like this madness of the people just doing things for like I don't know for fame and pleasure and but yeah, I agree with you, and I think it's a good example because we had this idea. I don't remember what teacher was that, or it was, or in what
This guy was
class.
the housebound. Housebound is
Oh
not
yeah, Yeah.
his real name.
Hmm.
I don't remember his name. Hobsbawm was his nickname.
Okay, okay, okay.
Uh, but yeah, this guy.
No, no, he's good. But that's true. Like if you need to end it before, like otherwise, it's yeah, it's just like excess just for the sake of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but also, I mean, I kind of thought about it. Like, yeah, I mean, it was completely unnecessary. Like, getting that far, right, with the monster and all the blood, and then the little face, like
Yeah.
squeezing
Like,
going. But I think that it makes a point at the end, right? That she dies at the center of this of the floor. Where there was a star with her name, and I think that probably it's a message like this is that's the end of I mean that's where we are leading or heading, right? In this system that if we are just looking for fame and trying to get recognition and be appreciated by others in this system that only wants us as something productive or consumer uh, or as consumers, I think that that's where we are going, right? So it makes us think. I mean, if I think about it, I mean, we can think that she could have. I don't know. I mean, her life wasn't that bad, right? I mean, before she had a substance, she could have done many different things. So we can think that even though she also thought about it, right? When she was talking with the guy who said, "Oh my God, can I come back? But the way I was before, no, it's impossible now." But so I think that for us is, I mean, this kind of movie always makes me think like, okay, appreciate the present. I mean, appreciate what's here, the people around you, that you are young, that you are healthy. I mean, the present, right? Don't think too much, or don't focus that much on the future or on getting your goals and be admired by people because that's not the like the value of this life, right? Like it's the present. We are very valuable and we are rich in a way. Um, so I do believe that there are, I mean, for example, money is important for the projects, for ourselves, to help others. We need these kind of things. We need money. The body or attractiveness is useful, but it's not like the goal. It's not the end, right? It's not what we aim for or what we came for here in this life, in my opinion. So probably we can try to find different ways to, I don't know, a different focus, a different goal, and focus more on valuing what is here and supporting each other instead of seeing us as products and or competition.
mm,
That's basically all what I always think about this kind of movies.
yeah. No, I agree with both of you. Like all you said, it's like a summary of all that happened, and we have like a society a whole a lot of problem. But I remember now what I wanted to say like a few minutes ago, and it's that like to me this movie like I really like the aesthetic and the whole way, like I said, but I think it's a new way of making films. Like it really like I was discussing with a cousin, and like we came up with this idea that this movie exists because TikTok exists, and there's a correlation with the editing and the pacing and the imagery and the way you perceive cinema. And I think this movie will be one of the hallmarks or key points of the future of movies, because movies, in a way, are kind of fading away. And so, how do you put people back into the seats? And I think we will have more movies that delve these kind of topics, but also in this kind of presentation, like fast and this rhythm and like a video clip, but also like a like those videos on YouTube that have like videos below and also it's in and then sound and all. And I think we will get more of that. And I think that's interesting. Like we are in a new era of cinema in a way. And so it's interesting because we will see like the whole problems of the world manifested in movies, because what is movie? Like a movie cannot solve these whole problems that we are discussing. It's like a reflection or a mirror or something, but it's a good way to view why these things are happening, or and you could start by there. And so I don't know, I'm just excited about what's to come, in a way. And so I that's like my ending to this movie. Like it's like a breath of fresh air for cinema. in a way, and what's to come. And yeah, I really like this kind of horror or liminal stories. I think it's really good that delves into these the strange topics of society or perception. But yeah, to me, it's a great example of this new wave of filmmaking and this new idea that they are bringing to the modern world. And so, yeah, that's to me like the way I could end. Yeah,
Perfect. I have a question. Do
yeah, yeah.
you like this view of the future of the movies?
I
I mean,
mean,
do you personally do you like it?
yeah, I mean, I like it. It's not that I like it or don't like it. It's more like it was meant to be, like in the way our world is progressing. I like the movies from the '70s, for example, like I don't know, this classical, and I also like the old movies or the '90s things, but they all have like a hallmark or ways of doing things because the world was in that way a reflection of that. And so, like, we cannot have just Godfathers, or this, I don't know, Titanic. Like, you need to do something else. And this way is like, it's not art house, but it's something interesting. And so it's a way or a way to manifest new ideas, and that's good. Like, we need new ideas, and the substance is a new idea. And like, no remakes, no bullshit like that. It's new idea, and that's good. To me, that's if that's the way it's going to be, then that's okay. But the important part is to not lose focus on the things that are being said. To me, if the things that are being said are relevant and all, then that's good. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I like it. I totally agree with that. I make a comment mine. So yeah, I totally
Yeah.
agree.
Absolutely. And also, this is, now that I think about it, it's like I think it's perfect also for this project, right? Like
Yeah.
we are
Sure.
trying to find more people interested in discussing and analyzing things. And I think that this movie it's perfect because it like combines the a movie that is attractive for people. It's amusing, it's entertaining, but at
Hmm.
the same time it makes you it's thought provoking, right? So I think that that's exactly what we need in this moment, not to just watch things that make us just relax and think about nothing and see guns and blood. I mean, I think that they are taking those elements that society like and make
Sure.
them think. Yeah, I mean, they are, as I was talking with Mariano, it's like
Hmm.
the Duolingo idea. I mean, they are, these
Hmm.
kind of people are trying to give you something in the way you like it, but they are trying to give you something that is, in my opinion, is positive, like education, culture, uh, uh, I mean, they are showing us how sick our society is, and it's. I think that's part of the discussion. We are now able to use technology and all the advancements we have to solve our problems. We have all the potential to do it, but we need to focus more on that, right? So I think that it's great that they are saying like, okay, these are real concerns. Let's think about it, but they are showing us in an attractive way, so that
No,
people can
sure.
see it,
Sure,
really
no,
care about it.
I was thinking of this movie Oppenheimer. Like, it could be like this boring slug of 3 hours, but the pacing and the stylistic choices and everything that's there, it's just so fast paced, and it's really like it gets you in the rhythm. And that's a movie that came out 2 years ago, and I think that's the trend that we are seeing. Like, we could go in that way, but it's interesting. Like, people don't want to go to the cinema just to see 3 hours. They want to be entertained that 3 hours. And if you can get the idea in that way, I don't know. I think of the Matrix, like the movie of the '90s. Like, that was a hit because it's entertaining, but it's also, if you want to go deep, you could go down the rabbit hole with it, and you could get these two sides. Like, you could just sell the ticket, and if you want, you can go deep down. And I think that's a good way to approach filmmaking. Yeah.
Absolutely, and it's something that we are trying to do here in this
Sure.
channel project uh, sessions, whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering. Probably we should adapt ourselves and put Subway Surface gameplay in the
Yeah,
background
well,
or
for sure.
a Minecraft parkour
No, we could do
through the
it.
sessions, so the young people
Yeah, yeah,
can
like
join us and learn
like
something.
play a pachinko, like, like that kind of game. Well,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
in there.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it.
It's not that something permanent. Permanent
I mean,
could be a great
we could
joke.
do like a
Uh,
yeah, and just
yeah,
ads
for the
popping up all the
audience, I
way.
like
Like,
it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Here with us, start. We can put the video at the background, a
sure.
gameplay or something.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
great.
Let's
That's really nice.
wait to can't write to our public. But yeah, I think that's good. It tells us that it's possible, right? If people are liking this kind of movies, there's
Sure,
some future for this project for us. So
sure.
yeah, I'm also optimistic about this.
Absolutely. Perfect
Well,
then.
yeah.
So, anything else?
No, I think I'm done in this for this movie, and just wanted to see what's next. So yeah,
Yeah, sure. We need to talk about it, but not now. Um, so, thank you very much, both of you, and thank you very much for sharing with us to choosing spend your time here with us, and that's it. Thank you. Thank you very
yeah.
much. See you later
Thank
in the
you.
next one next week.
Bye.